Und geh auf
Olymptronica.
Der geht wieder auf Host.
Invalid Username.
Olymptronica, das ist
Oh,
vergessen.
Tranica, okay. Host.
so.
Olymptronica.
Ja, wir haben auch jetzt eine Bitrate.
Now hosting Olymptronica.
Super.
Nochmal ein Refresh.
Ja, da kommt jetzt was.
Live!
Oh, yeah,
We
something's
are live!
happening. Are we live? Oh my gosh.
We are live. Amazing.
Yeah. The reason was we mean 6 p.m. UK time, not Germany. So we are correct live now. So
Do you want to run the intro again?
once again I come on. Okay, once again the intro.
Wir hören nichts, aber es geht raus.
Ja, es geht raus.
Und das Mikro hat auch, ja, okay.
Ja,
So. Ja, keine
richtig, aber brauchen
Lautsprecher.
wir auch nicht. Muss ja.
Ja, außer dass wir dann nicht hören,
Ach so, was
wenn
wir
wir
gleich-
irgendwelche Demos vorspielen. Aber okay.
Wir vertrauen der Anzeige.
Oh, Backe.
Das nächste Mal gibt's Kopfhörer.
Genau. Okay, we have a stream now, and yeah, only 1 hour later, but this is the first time, and yeah, a little bit jet lag. Okay, so welcome to the first episode of an evening at the museum, because no, it's a night at the museum. An evening at the museum here from live from the Deutsche Film Museum in Frankfurt. First some words in German. Starte ich nochmal. Also das ist die erste Sendung, ein Abend im Museum, heute mit Chris Huelsbeck, gehostet das Ganze von Jörg Dröge. Die Sendung heute wird in Englisch laufen und wir werden in den nächsten Wochen öfters mal, Kollegen machen hier wieder Krach, aber Hauptsache der Stream läuft, werden in den nächsten Wochen öfters hier direkt aus dem Museum streamen. Film und Games ist eine Sonderausstellung, die vom 1. Juli bis Ende Januar 2016 läuft und ja einfach wie auch ein Wechselspiel, also Wechselspiel zwischen der Film- und der Videospielwelt präsentiert und da sehr viele originelle Ausstellungsstücke präsentiert, die wir auch in den nächsten Wochen dann hier mal vorführen werden. Ja, wie gesagt, die Sendung ist in Englisch, das Ganze wird gehostet vom Jörg Dröge und dem würde ich dann gleich jetzt einfach mal das Wort übergeben. So, from now on in English, my name is Sven and I will be your chat host in the Twitch channel, so if you have any questions, write it down and I will later ask Chris, what do you want to know? So, yeah, please.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, Chris.
Hi.
Thanks for taking the time and being here.
You're welcome.
Great. So, let's first start with who you are. Chris Huelsbeck is a very known, very famous video game composer. He's actually composing since 86 because he won a music competition in the German 64er magazine with his super hit Shades, which won the first place. And then he started to take advantage of that win and start over in the music business for video games. So let's first start, Chris. How did you actually got into music?
Yeah, so we earlier covered this already, so I'm doing the fast version now. I was born in a family that had many music talents. My mom, my aunt and my grandma, they were all piano teachers. So we had instruments in the house and I was playing around on them from an early age. When I was 5, they got me into classical piano training. But after 2 years I stopped because my grandma was very strict and she would yell at me if I made mistakes and stuff like that. And I also didn't really want to play music from, sheet music and classical music in that sense. I wanted to compose my own melodies or just play music that I heard on the radio, and I played it by ear and stuff like that. And then when I got into my teenager years, I really got interested in electronic music. I was a big fan of Jean-Michel Jarre, Kraftwerk, Tangerine Dream, those bands, and I wanted to create something like that, but with the family piano that wasn't possible. I wanted a synthesizer, and we couldn't afford it. These machines were very expensive, so the next best thing for me was actually a Commodore 64. And I saw in an advertisement that it had a real synthesizer sound chip, and that was essentially my chance to create music electronically. And so should I just go on, or do you want to ask me questions?
Well, actually you brought a presentation with us. I don't know if we have it ready.
Oh, that will be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some pictures and stuff. So maybe we can run that if it works. If not, I'll just tell it.
Okay.
Let's try out. Okay, well, so while we are waiting for him to start the presentation, very interesting thing is that you started with a 664, which is the most sold computer at that time. What was the reason for you to get a C64 and not another one? Was it a family decision, or was it really just because of sound chip and you heard about the possibilities?
Right, it was essentially the specs and that sound chip that was better than other home computers of the time. And it was actually tight. I really wanted a computer too, because I wanted to play video games.
Not for learning.
And I had actually saved some money. I was delivering newspapers, hard work for 13, 14-year-old. And I had about, I think, $400, 400 Deutschmarks at the time. And C64 was 500. But I could afford like an Atari 400 or something like that. And it was really like tight, but my grandma knew that I wanted the Commodore 64, so finally she gave me the remaining 100, and I brought my C64 home. And something I actually don't tell a lot is I had to bring it back to the store 6 or 7 times, because each time there was something wrong with the machine. Oh. One time I switched it on and there was no color. And next time I switched it on and there was just garbled things and it wouldn't work at all. And so things like that. So I had some quality issues. But the 7th one was the one that I kept and I still have. It's right now actually part of Rene Meyer's exhibition that tours around. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
But anyway, so I got my C64 and then I set it up and I wanted to start making music, and it was very difficult to get anything out of the machine. There was no software that you could use. You could play games, but I wanted to create something, so I needed to learn programming. And that was a tough road, but I got it done, and after a few years I learned assembly language. First I wanted to actually become a game designer, but I wasn't that good in designing games, and but I was good with music, so I combined assembly programming with my music hobby, and that really gave me the edge. And I did a little music piece for a friend. That was Planet of War was the game, and that was my first game music. And then a couple months later I got this a contest in the 64 magazine, and I sent something in there, and to my surprise I won the contest.
One thing you tell often is that you did composing till 4 a.m. and the next morning you had to go to school, so it was very tough on deadline, and you almost didn't make it to the competition deadline actually.
Yeah. to this day, I seem to like always get right to the deadline of something, and so I had already worked on this for like 2 months, but the final composition and putting it all together happened in the last night before the deadline, and I had to go to school, so I gave the disc to my parents and said, you have to get this into the mail today, otherwise I'm out of luck, and luckily they did. They got it in, and yeah. That was pretty crazy.
Great.
Okay, we could try it.
Wow, good.
I think there I have found the solution, so I will.
We could support the next part of your story with some pictures. That would be pretty nice.
Let's hope it works.
Sweet.
Oh my.
That looks pretty good.
Okay.
So
yeah, start it, and then also can you is that actually going through now?
yeah, this should be going through now.
That will be interesting. I want to see that. But maybe keep going.
Yeah, so I keep going the presentation. The only thing, there is no audio, so the insert audio files.
I'll stop you when we come to a point where I'm gonna say something about it. So this is like the early stuff.
Okay, the early stuff. He was born, really? Yeah. That's
one of your.
That
early
was
pictures.
basically, I think that was the year when I got into school.
But you see, it's you, definitely.
Okay.
Sometimes you see a kid and say, no, that's it. But
Keep going. Oh yeah, so I heard this popcorn song in the 70s on the radio, and those sounds sounded so different. And that's when I first heard about the synthesizer and what that meant, electronic music. So keep going. Actually, it doesn't seem to show on the stream here that it changes.
okay.
Could that be?
Look, see here. This is a stream right now,
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
but
It's not showing there. It's
maybe
strange. That's all right. Let's just pretend it works. Okay, so keep going. I think Shift F5 is the. No. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Keep
But
going.
you can watch it. It's okay.
Keep going. Yeah. So I actually had some examples there. Yeah, it has a major delay. So anyway,
Major delay.
my mom got me actually an electronic organ, which was not a synthesizer, but it was close to it. And I actually have a recording when I was just 10 or 11 years old of me playing on that organ, and it's in that folder somewhere. I don't know if you can if you can go over and look for that.
Now or?
Yeah, maybe. Give it a try. Let's
Okay.
be creative.
That's not the folder. Chris.
So you had actually the passion started for music in the 70s, and you heard that pop synthesizer song.
Popcorn, yeah.
Okay.
So it's that.
Which is very known, yeah.
Yeah. So,
just have to
yeah.
get the folder.
We're getting it right now. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, the driver's fault.
It's so funny.
Aren't you even recording the driver's fault?
Yes, but I hope it's on.
Okay.
All right.
Stream wieder starten.
Yeah, we are live again.
Hopefully.
Maybe see what's happened next time. Maybe some power outage.
Okay, so somebody told me we're just at the point where I talked about my parents putting the thing in the mail for shades, and it worked out barely. And now we're moving on to the slideshow, and we were already at that synthesizer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and now you also have the demos unpacked, or you're doing that right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing it right now, live. with a hard disk that
do it
has
live.
Enough space.
Oh, what's that now? Oh, da waren schon welche.
Okay.
There were some, okay.
Okay, so I
Open.
will open. So now file where we have 1 second. I'll make the. So we are a little bit here. So, and then I will open an audio file. You say, okay.
In that demos folder, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go to Shorts, Export, and then look for first organ piece, yeah.
And I will play it
Okay, do it.
for the audience.
Let's see if it works. Okay, we can't hear it, but you can. That's me, like 11 years old, playing on the organ and recording it live. That might be it.
Yeah, that might be it.
Okay, so where's the rest of the presentation? Where are the pictures?
The pictures. I'm
still
going
open?
back.
Oh, there it is. Can you see that? Yeah. So then,
And
go to the next one. Yeah, so I did the second organ piece just slightly after that, where I actually made new connections within the organ. You know, I was a little bit of an electronics geek, and I made new connections, and they sounded interesting. And that's another piece that's in that demos folder.
Hopefully you didn't break it while you were trying.
Later, first I did a couple of pieces, and they sounded interesting, and then at some point the whole thing blew up.
Seriously?
So
Okay,
I did it too much. So, but anyways, the second organ piece, circuit bending, is down there. Second on the
second
Yeah.
circuit bending.
So play that.
Right. Yes, and also the response from the chat is they can hear it. Okay.
All right. So yeah, that was it with the organ. I killed it ultimately. But then let's move on to the next slide. Let's see what comes. Oh yeah, well.
Now our favorite, the C64.
Yes, and is there another slide after that? Maybe go like... Oh yeah, so there's this demo of Planet of War, my first game that I did. So let's go back to the demos folder. The shorts. So that's like the C64, no, it's Planet of War maybe? Planet of War, yes. Is it playing? Very first music that I composed on the Commodore 64.
Was that just for yourself or for a friend?
That was for a friend who had already sold 2 games to publishers, and he was working on his third game, and he wasn't good with music, but he was a good game designer. And he helped me learning programming in assembly language, and I made the music for his game.
So he deserved the credits for helping you to get into coding. So this is how you got the knowledge to get your sound monitor program up and running.
Right. I mean, I already had started learning programming, first basic and then assembly language. But then when I met him and saw that what he did with the games, I learned a lot more and faster. And yeah. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So let's play Shades. That's also in there. Or I don't know, like.
That's your competition winner.
That's the competition winner. And there you can already hear like the progression from Planet of War to Shades. It's quite a difference. So is that C64 Shades? for 30 seconds. All right, that was beautiful. We didn't hear anything here, but
It was awesome.
We know it.
Some applause, please.
We know it by heart. We have heard
Okay.
it so many times in my childhood, at least. And
Okay, keep going. What's next in the slideshow? Oh yeah, the sound monitor. So after that, the shades was really like hacked into memory. A lot of numbers, and it was very difficult to compose something in there. So I thought immediately after this could be improved, and I conceived this sound monitor, which was making it easier to input the music data. It had already, like, you could edit a pattern, and you could say, the musical notes like C4 and so C in the fourth octave, and you didn't have to like figure out which number that is in memory. And so this is essentially like what later became like tracker music, stuff like that. So let's keep going. Then so in 1987, and this ties in with me joining Rainbow Arts. So after I won the contest, I called up a German game developer called Rainbow Arts, and I played them some tunes over the phone and said, do you have some work for me? And they actually hired me on the spot. So actually the next spring I quit school and I started working for them full-time. And that's when I developed, I was searching for the next thing that you could get out of the sound chip with the time I had at Rainbow Arts. And this was like adding an audio sample channel to the C64 sound chip. And I have a demo for that too.
There was a message that this one, I see it won't move on, but okay, maybe
you have to like maybe move on manually to the next slide without going into that, because it's not grabbing the yeah. So anyway, let's listen to that was Jinx C64 sample player Jinx. Yeah, let's listen to that.
Jinx, Jinx,
And then maybe in the meantime we can figure out.
Jinx.
So maybe go out and do it like in that view. I mean, don't do it in the presentation mode.
okay.
Yeah, so go back to okay. So then one of the last pieces I did on the C64 was R-Type, and that was actually in a different editor that I developed after the sound monitor called TFMX. And that did not have sample channels because newer revisions of the C64 couldn't play those, but it sounds pretty good because the TFMX system had some other advantages. And
that's quite interesting, because most composers I interviewed in the past, they never took care about the difference between the old and the new sound chip. And you were one of those few that actually modified the sound program that you developed for developing music based on the new characteristics on the sound chip.
it was just that I realized the samples are not working anymore, and secondly, games were getting bigger. They didn't have the memory for sampling soundtrack or the CPU, so we went back to like getting more out of the 3 SID channels, And the TFMX was that system, and it had like, the new thing there was that for every note played there would be a little script running. So it was like developing a little script language where you could essentially change all the parameters of the sound chip in every frame and create your own, I mean, it was really good drums and stuff like that. So if you play, it's also in that same folder, R-Type C64. Yeah. So now we're doing the R-Type. Then I did TFMX Amiga, which was essentially the same concept, but obviously with more possibilities because the Amiga had 4 channels. And we have a demo for that too. There's the R-Type for the Amiga.
R-Type Amiga,
Yep.
36 seconds.
Let's listen to it for a little bit. Alright, so also you hear that this it's a different composition than on the C64, and the reason was that the Amiga had 4 sample channels, so I figured let's do something that does that justice, and I wanted it to be sounding a little bit more cinematic and stuff like that. So let's move on. I think you can skip that slide and go to the next one. Yeah, so then I also extended the capabilities of the Amiga. I had a friend who did an emulation of the of the Amiga sound chip on this Atari ST, and I figured I could take that and port that back into the Amiga, then create 4 channels on the CPU and mix that into 1 channel on the Amiga, and then you have 3 more regular Amiga channels, and that sounded pretty good. I did the Turrican 2, there's a demo for that as well. That is Amiga Turrican 2 title. 7 voice. It's the second. That's the one. And just as a minor anecdote on the side, when you listen to the intro of that piece, you can actually hear that it's a showcase for that 7-voice system, because it starts with 1 or 2 voices and then more are being added all the time. And so that's why the intro builds up like that.
That's quite interesting, because at that time you started composing music. The way music for games was approached changed. In the past it was like the coder would do the music himself, but at that point where you started, 86, it reached a point where projects and games became so complex that the coder itself didn't have the necessary music skills to compose his own music.
It was the first step of specialization, and the teams are getting bigger, over the years. Now we're at game teams that are like sometimes over 100 people, and so yeah, I mean, over time musicians were separated, graphic artists were separate, and In the very beginning, that was all done by one person, but you couldn't do it anymore. Okay, let's go on. What's next? Oh yeah, so
Sound Studio.
right. So then, after a few years with Rainbow Arts, I actually quit and started my own company with two friends, and we built a sound studio, which was also a dream of mine. To essentially, like, you go from that dream to have one synthesizer, and then you want to extend it and do more. And I always had in mind that I wanted to do music production, not just game music, but also CDs and stuff like that. So I did that in '91.
So due to your commercial success with games and Rainbow Arts and so on, you finally could realize your dreams that you had as a child. You finally could afford a synthesizer that you were longing after for so long.
Right. We had in the first studio about 4 or 5 synthesizer keyboards and a sampler, sampling unit, and that was already like, it was a dream come true. And then I created that first studio CD with it, and so I don't know if we have something for that, but we could also go on and see.
Let's see.
Is there like something that says no, let's just go on and let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so then a couple years later, I actually moved to the US. I got the opportunity to work on a Star Wars game for the N64 with my friends from Factor 5. And the reason that they wanted me over there was that the N64 was the last game console that had a cartridge. So you couldn't produce the music in the studio and stream it or play it from the CD. So it had to be kind of created old school with samples and sequencing. And that's what that music sound system was for, which was also a collaborative effort with Factor 5, but the basic concept of it was still based on the TFMX system that I used all those years before. So it had the scripting for the sounds, and it had some other features, and ultimately this was so successful and yielded such a nice result that Nintendo themselves actually licensed it.
Wow. Yeah.
And used it for their third-party developers.
And they wanted you over there because it was easier. They had so much work for you to do that they said you have to come here. Because nowadays, when I look at teams, it's more global. You are working more over the internet, like Skype or something. Yeah,
I definitely needed to be there because the development was very much in-house. The internet was not that flexible yet, and also I needed a N64 development kit and stuff like that. So no, I needed to do it there, and they also needed my expertise of squeezing that orchestral Star Wars soundtrack kind of a thing into that cartridge, and that's what we did. And I was struggling quite a bit with it, and after it was done, for months I wouldn't even listen to it, and then now years later when I plug it in, I actually think that it sounds really nice. But while I was working on it, I had a lot of doubts, and I also, John Williams is my idol in terms of film music, and but it was an exciting time, and ultimately I also enjoyed staying in the US, and I decided to live there. Because originally it was only meant to be for like 9 months or a year.
But you enjoyed the lifestyle and so on, and the experience.
Yes, and the weather. California is nice.
Yeah, great.
Lots of sunshine.
We have also sun here.
Yeah, that's true. Today is beautiful. Yes.
For 2 days indeed.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't want to live in an outrun scenery,
Yes. So are there any more slides? I think we're getting closer to the end.
Sure.
So go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then in 2009 I became freelancer again, and I made my first iPhone game, which kind of felt like a little bit like the old days. It was a very small team, and it was a mobile game, so it was just a couple of pieces, but I had a lot of fun with it. And the game itself became actually a million seller on the iPhone and iPad. And do we have that over there? Yeah, play something from that. Yeah, so this project was actually a lot of fun, I have to say, and I wanted the soundtrack to be a little bit like these 80s horror movie soundtracks that were often also synth-driven. So that's what I tried to do with it. And then, well, let's go on to the next thing. Yeah, so 2010, I received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Game Audio Network Guild, which really surprised me. And I was, of course, honored, and then I was also scared that I have to give like a little speech, but I did, and I was actually saying, oh, isn't that something that people usually get when they get into their 70s or 80s? And I said, I'm not done, I want to do this another 40 years, so they were laughing about that.
I will count you on that.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. So let's see what's next. Oh yeah. So in 2011, I did actually a live orchestra recording with my friends from Sound of Games. And we did a Star Trek game, which unfortunately never was released. But the soundtrack lives on as the Infinite Space Resurrection soundtrack. I put it on Bandcamp now and iTunes and everywhere. And yeah, we can listen to that. Maybe there's a demo. Star Trek. No, Star Wars. Does it say Infinite Space somewhere? No. Oh, maybe it's not in that folder.
No.
So if you go one up, you can go to that, yeah, and just start, I think, the first track, which is set the theme, yeah. So let's play that for a little bit. It's not that long anymore.
Also soundtrack for another big franchise, Doctor Who.
That is actually really new. I don't think it's in the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's something.
I've done all the sci-fi franchises now.
Actually, what was the reaction from the environment back then? I mean, in the 80s, 90s, it was more like a deep thing to do something like that. What was the reaction from your family, friends?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't quite understand what was happening, and they were worried a little bit that if I, could make a living of it. And I'm still worried to this day, but no, it's working out. So.
I mean, it's interesting if you look at it, and now the game industry is bigger than the music industry and the film industry together. So
yes.
I don't think you have to be scared about your future.
I hope not. But there's also a lot more competition nowadays, so you cannot discount that. But I'm doing my thing, and as long as somebody wants my music, then I'm happy.
Well,
is something else happening?
I got a very interesting question.
Okay.
I think it's from Volker. What did his mom say to the music of Hollywood Poker Pro?
She didn't even know about it.
It's from Volker.
And actually, I didn't even realize exactly what they were doing there. This was like a sub-label of Rainbow Arts, the Reline Studios, and they just sent me like this intro with a dancing girl, with a shadow of a dancing girl, and said, "Here, make some music for that," and I did. And then it was like a strip poker game.
They hide it from you. They hide it from you.
Yeah,
It's like a James Bond dancing girl.
yeah, probably. Yeah.
That's incredible, yeah. Well, you mentioned there's a lot of more competition nowadays. Back in the 80s and 90s, often gamers bought bought a game just for the music because they saw, okay, it has music from Chris Huelsbeck in it. So the game must be wonderful, at least the music. So, and this is not the case nowadays anymore. If I go to the stores and I buy a PS4 or PC game, it doesn't really say music by Chris Huelsbeck or something.
Well, I mean, I'm still doing stuff, and the fans that I have, they check things out that I do, but yeah, it's not quite the same as back then. I mean, people were like really sitting in front of their C64s and they were amazed that sound comes out of it. And now you can produce it in the studio, and it's more about the music composition. But I still think that there's great game music out there. I mean, if you just think about like Halo, what that started, or the Assassin's Creed series, or Uncharted, those things, they have great music in their games, and there's also soundtracks of those, and people get them off iTunes and stuff like that. So it's still there's still great game music out there.
And on the second thing is there's also a retro hype that's going on since the last years. So even that is supporting you. I mean, you did a lot of CD projects and some, for example, Terrakin. If you could explain a bit about that.
Yeah, so this has been kind of a little bit of a revival of my career, because in 2012 I did a crowdfunding campaign for the Terrakin soundtrack anthology, and that was a collection of nearly all the music that you can hear in all the Terrakin games. And it's a 4 CD collection, and it's still available online, Bandcamp and stuff. And so that was a huge project, and it was really nice to revisit that material and bring it up to the newest standard of sound.
Did it surprise you that it was so successful, or did you think that was quite...
Yeah, I mean, I knew that there was a chance that it could get funded, but I set it pretty high because I knew that I would work for quite a lot of months on it, so I needed the budget for it. But then it surpassed that budget goal. It got more than double, almost triple, and that was quite surprising. And then we put a lot of that additional money back into the project. We did 4 CDs instead of 3, and we had a lot of other goodies. And it became this huge thing. And I think I'm very proud how it turned out. And it even won like prizes. It got the compilation album of the year on VGM Online.
Wow, great! Yeah, I mean you're doing very good music, and it's very recognizable. And you could say, wow, this is a Chris Huelsbeck song, you know. So yes, that's quite understandable. And it's not your only project. I mean, you did a new record with that Kickstarter that you did with the piano collection. That was actually funded within 1 hour, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Right?
That took us a little bit by surprise. I mean, we knew that we would get this funded because the goal was pretty modest, just to be able to produce it and print all those books and stuff like that. But that it was really done within 1 hour was fantastic, and it ended up hitting all our stretch goals. We did even like an additional orchestra bonus track with it, and it's been fantastic. And we actually just mastered it last week, so the audio is done and the CDs are now being put into production, and we're printing the book soon, and we're done with that too. And so it's going well.
I have another question. Are you familiar with the new retrowave, synthwave artists that have come up during the last years, like Mitch Murder, Laserhawk, Dead Astronauts, Power Glove? If so, what is your favorite artist right now, and or any of the artists from the Kung Fury soundtrack?
Yeah, I don't have any favorite, but that Kung Fury movie and the soundtrack really hit the right nerve with me. I'm a big 80s child, you know, and I love the music of the 80s. Of course, some was cheesy, but we just grew up with it and started to love it. And yeah, that Kung Fury was quite a you know,
a mix of all stereotypes of the 80s.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was very entertained.
Yeah. Every time when I think the 80s got the best music, then came a soundtrack from Modern Talking. So
not
talk about that.
Not the best example there.
Not really the best example.
Yeah.
So maybe you should do the music for the upcoming successor of Kung Fury.
I would definitely like to be involved with that. So.
That's actually what you said once in another interview, that this was one of your goals that you have next, to be more involved in film music, actually.
I would really like to do film music at some point, and I have not given up that hope. And maybe if one of my fans is aspiring director or has a movie that they want to have music for, then contact me.
Great. So, what is actually your typical workflow for generating or, creating a music piece for a game? I guess most people heard about, making music for an album or something that is to be sold in the stores or on iTunes, but I guess most people can only hardly imagine how it is to make music for a video game. It must be a bit different in the creation process.
Yeah, I mean, you work either from a concept, or if there's already like graphics or even early gameplay, and then it becomes like a visual thing, and you just you look at it, you get a feel for it, you think about what kind of mood do you want to hit with the music piece, and then you might select instruments that would fit into that genre or style that you're looking for. And then I often start with composing melodies, which I still to this day often do with a simple piano sound. And I start to develop something, and if something hits the nerve, it gets all recorded, and then I add more things, change instruments, add more orchestration or synthesizers. And that's how it builds up.
And what's the estimated time you need from the first concept to finishing the music piece for the game?
It depends really. I mean, sometimes things happen within hours, and sometimes it takes a week or 2 weeks. That's part of the creative process. So. It's hard to put a number on it. I would say on average, for a full 3-4 minute piece or something like that, I would probably think a few days, like 3-4 days of full work. Yeah.
And what's your favorite work so far that you did in all those years?
Usually the last one. So I mean, it's hard to really put a number or something on it. I mean, obviously Turrican was a huge project, and the revisiting of it was the Turrican soundtrack anthology. But really, like, I mean, I stand behind every piece that I put out. And even like just recently, I made music for Touchfish, which is an free-to-play iOS game, so iPhone, iPad, more platforms coming soon. And it's a very different game. It's kind of like the farming thing, and you create your own fish tank, or aquarium. and you grow fish there and you outfit your aquarium. So it needed to be more relaxed music, and it's almost like it's chill out electronica, and I had a lot of fun with that. We did several music packs, and there's now you can check it out on Bandcamp. There's 3 volumes, and the third one is a chiptune style volume. So I use sounds from C64 and NES and stuff like that to create that, and I had a lot of fun doing that style again. Yeah.
But it must be hard sometimes to keep on hearing the same piece over and over again.
It can be hard during the creation of the music when you're working in a loop, yes. And I have to hopefully work on headphones, because my wife would probably freak out if she would hear the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah.
It's quite interesting because I think a couple of years, like 4 or 5 years ago, you actually went back to your C64 stuff, and you released unreleased pieces of C64 compositions on High Voltage Disc Collection, actually. And I guess this was pretty hard after 30 years to get back to the old routines.
Yeah, I mean, at first I had to get into my data. I had luckily saved everything that I had on the C64 over to the PC, and it all fits on, a fraction of a regular CDR. But anyway, so I had the data, but going in there with the emulator and then finding all the pieces that were unreleased was quite hard. And then also to get it to run, because, when you're out of that for over 20 years, then it's not that easy to get it up and running again. But I got it done, and the guys from the High Voltage Collection were very happy about it.
And the fans, I hope, I guess.
I hope so too.
Of course, yeah. So
I have another question.
Yeah.
Will we get a number 10, an album of new
material? Okay, yeah. So my last album that was kind of out of the ordinary, or wasn't based on a game soundtrack, was the number 9 album, and it was just because the catalog number at that point was the number 9. But I hope so, if I find the time. So we will have to see. There's definitely also quite a few pieces that are unreleased, so there's definitely material that I could draw upon, and we just have to see how to get it produced. So maybe something for another crowdfunding. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, hope so.
Great. So you actually use this crowdfunding thing a lot. Do you have anything else in mind for your new fan project after the piano collection?
Yeah, and this ties in. I mean, there's another kind of style crowdfunding, which is called Patreon, which I started a month ago, and it's essentially like people send me very small amounts of money for single pieces that I finish and deliver to them. So, and that's an ongoing thing. So I wanna once I have the time again, after the piano album is out the door, I wanna explore that more. And I mean, when you find it on my website, check it out. There's a little video that explains everything, and the first piece that I'm working on there is featured, and so check that out. That's another thing that I'm working on.
It's quite interesting. Throughout the history that I hear now, and that all the others hear now, it seems like you changed from more coding your music in the 80s, now more back to composing it, rather than thinking about how do I make this fit into memory and stuff, and how do the routines work on the computer machine language.
Exactly, and this is also one of the reasons why there's more competition. The music in games nowadays is produced in the studio. There's really no difference if you would make a pop record or a movie soundtrack or a game soundtrack. So and people are recording even large orchestras for games. So that opened up the field for a lot more talented people to come in. But there's still a little bit of expertise needed when you think about how to create music that really works within the game, mechanics, and the fact that it's like an interactive medium where you can choose where you want to go next in a game, and that needs to work together with the music, because it's not like a movie where you know exactly, okay, from the minute 18 to minute 20 I want that music piece playing, and it should like sync up to what you see on the screen.
So like real-time altering music.
There's some efforts with that. Most of the time it's like just very clever preparing the pieces and the loops and switching them in a clever way. It's usually done by scripting, and sometimes you have programmers who help you with that. Sometimes the game music people also do it themselves. For example, I did a lot of scripting for that Touchfish game.
It's interesting. You said at the beginning you are not really good developer for game designer, but you did your own game, To Be on Top, for the C64. That was kind of a career game where you kind of portrayed your own career in a way?
A little bit. I mean, it's very loosely based on my upbringing, but there's also a lot in there that's not exactly how it went, and just some fun stuff in there. But there's a little adventure component where you work through the different stages to get to the TV studio where you do your performance. But the really new thing of the game, or the innovation of it, was that you could actually create your own music piece within the game from like different puzzle pieces essentially. But you could come up with your own arrangement of that, and then when you had finished the game, that would like appear in the high score list or in the top 10 list, and you could go through and listen to that piece that you created again. So that was the really new thing about it.
Great. How is it nowadays to work without limitations? Because back then you had to think about what you can do with the sound chip and what you can't, and now you have like all the possibilities you wish. It must be very easy and maybe less challenging in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it comes more down to really the feel of the game, or what you want to express, or what the emotional thing is that you want to support, and you go from there, and then you have like the whole palette of sound available. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes you have to limit yourself to like certain sounds that you want to use, and work within those. But I mean, it's much more open, and there's not these limitations that you have to work with.
Do you miss the old days with the limitations sometimes?
Sometimes, but I enjoy the freedom that I have in the way that I produce now. It would be more like a nostalgic, fun thing to go back to that kind of stuff. And maybe someday, if I have the right project or time, maybe I'll do that. But right now, I'm just enjoying that I have all these possibilities.
So you would actually welcoming a Kickstarter project, for example, of a retro game where you could do the music for?
Yeah, maybe something like that is kind of in the works. I don't want to say anything else, but let's be surprised.
No spoiler today.
No spoiler today, but it's definitely not out of the question. Great.
So, and right now, your next plan is actually going to Gamescom, I believe, right?
Yes, we're wrapping up that piano collection right now, and we wanted to get it out before Gamescom, and I'll be there in Cologne as well, and have fun with the fans.
You actually make a special event. Do you want to talk about that for your
Sure,
fans?
Yeah. So we have this piano dinner 2 days before the public opening of the Gamescom, and that will, it will be like a dinner where people come together, and then we have our pianist Patrick Nevian play some of the pieces from the piano collection, and this should be very fun that evening. I'm looking forward to it.
How did you actually get the idea of making the piano collection, and how did you find Patrick Nevian?
Right. So the idea of making a piano album already goes back to the early 2000s, when I listened to piano renditions of one of my favorite composers, Vince DiCola. He had made his Transformers movie score from the 80s into piano renditions, and I thought, wow, this would be really cool, because I also love the sound of the piano, to do something like that with my compositions. But the thing is, I could not play it myself, because I'm not that good of a performer on the piano. I mean, I'm good enough to get my ideas into the computer, but this needed somebody who was really like able to do these crazy things on the piano. And I found Patrick in 2011 when he had released some piano renditions of Amiga game music, including some of my pieces, and I really liked what I heard, and got in touch with him and proposed we should do something on the side, create this album. And we actually started in 2011 with it, and we made a few pieces, and then I had the Turrican soundtrack anthology, and that kept me busy, so it was kind of shelved for a while. And then last year I thought, let's pick it up again, and the idea very quickly was, let's do a Kickstarter to make it really nice with the scorebook that's printed and all that stuff, and it became bigger from there.
Great. Yeah, but you did a lot of special things lately. I mean, for the Turrican project, you actually did a clock that you would wind up and it would play.
No, it's like a mechanical music box.
Yeah, mechanical.
Yeah, so like a Spieluhr in German.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And it's a bigger one. It's not those little ones that you have in a toy. It's actually one with I think there's 52 notes. It's called, and it's a large wooden box, and it's a custom arrangement, obviously. And we selected the great bass for that and put it in there. And I worked with guys from New Mexico who were specializing in it, and I had the wish of creating the actual arrangement, and they helped me with it, and finally we got it done, because there's a lot of limitations that go into making a music box. There's certain things that you can't do, but since and I did this composition, and they said, this can't be played on the music box.
Yeah.
So I said, then tell me what I need to do, or tell me the limitations, and I make it work. And I didn't think I could, but I did it. And so that was kind of interesting. It goes back to my C64 days. I wanted to push the envelope and make it happen, and it turned out pretty nice.
Great. Yeah, well, I was just about to say that it's going back to your past experience with the C64. So what's the achievement you are the most proud of? Of course, apart from Shades, which made you a career in composing video game music.
Yeah, I think it's like similar to an earlier question. I mean, you would probably mention Turrican, the Turrican series. But as I said, I mean, I'm always like, I'm very happy usually how my latest project turned out. And you mentioned earlier, like the Doctor Who game that I did. It's a puzzle game on mobile devices, including iPads, Android, all that stuff. And very happy that I worked on that, and I'm also happy with the few pieces that are in there.
Great.
And let's not forget Giana Sisters. I mean, that still lives on. It was reinvented by Black Forest Games recently. With Giana Sisters Twisted Dreams. And now there's a new one coming out, the Dream Runners. And, it lives on, and I keep working on it.
Yeah, well, the story behind
Hopefully
Giana Sisters
into the
is
future.
pretty interesting because it wasn't in the stores for so long,
Yes.
actually.
It's a collector's item right now. This one.
The
Sadly,
C64.
it's not mine,
Yes.
but
How much is that worth?
you pay around. Right now, I think around $300 to $400.
All right.
Yeah. 600 is if it's in new condition. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
even
can
more if it's still sealed. Yeah.
You can pay a lot of it. Yeah.
I actually have one with the C64, and people were writing me if I would sell it. I said no, sorry.
Well, the reason was that it was conceived as like, we saw the Rainbow Art saw the success of Super Mario Brothers, and they said, the boss of Rainbow Art said, we can do something like that in 2 weeks. It took like a month and a half or so, but they created Giana Sisters, and it was too similar. So Nintendo got angry and threatened them with a lawsuit. So they took it off the market shortly after it was released, and then years and years later, it was resurrected with the blessing actually of Nintendo. And now it lives on as...
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it was also not a good idea on the English version to print on the cover that the brothers are history.
Yeah.
That was probably the last straw that the English distributor said that, yes. But anyway, so Twisted Dreams definitely came into its own, and it doesn't look like a Mario a clone anymore, and it lives on, and it's actually a fantastic game.
Can we actually show some of his games? I don't know.
I found an emulator, and I also found Terrican and Terrican 2, but not a Giana Sisters.
Yeah, I don't know, and especially like the C64 version, I didn't do much music for
Yeah,
that.
that's a problem. We have also maybe we have an Amiga
emulator,
emulation.
yeah, but does that work? The thing is, you can find all the games on YouTube. Just type in Giana Sisters C64 or Tariq and Amiga, and you'll find
Tariq,
everything. And we've looked at it so often. In the spirit of keeping it short, we should probably not try to get that up and running, because I can already see that it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, we should be happy enough that the
Not
stream is
found,
running.
if we find another a C64 ROM or something like this, but yes.
Yeah.
I'm also don't want to put in the USB here because
Yeah. Let's not break it. It's running right now, but
Suddenly no picture anymore. Oh my god, what's happening now?
do you have a track from Giana Sisters here on?
there might be. Let's see if there's something. Maybe in more. Look in there. I don't think it's in there. But if you go to Bandcamp, you can probably play it from there.
Okay.
Like Twisted Dreams. So it's Chris Huelsbeck .bandcamp.com.
Also.
Bandcamp.com.
Well, while we are waiting, I should mention Chris is also doing Let's Plays in his free time on Twitch.
Yes, we just started that in January. So let's go there. Yeah.
So you can even see
you can play the
Chris
title track, maybe.
playing his own games in which he did the music for, and there is even one in the archives about Be on Top, where you played your own game.
Is it playing? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're doing these shows on a weekly basis, and we play my old classic games, but also other retro games, and have fun with it.
What's the channel URL?
It's Twitch twitch.tv/C_Huelsbeck. And you can obviously also click through from my website.
Which would be Huelsbeck.com.
Huelsbeck.com, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it plays in the background.
Yep. Yeah, one interesting thing about Twisted Dreams was that they did this thing where the character can switch between two characters and they have different abilities, but also the whole graphics morph from one style to another. And when I saw that for the first time, I really thought we should do the same with the music. And I remembered these guys from Sweden, Machina Supremacy, who had done a really kick-ass metal-type remix of Giana Sisters music in the early 2000s, and we contacted them and they were happy to work with us. So for every piece in the game there's two versions that are running exactly in sync. There's a more synth version and there's this the metal version, and when you switch the characters the music fades over to the other one, so while you play the game you can actually remix the song in real time.
So you are still making groundbreaking things in terms of music nowadays.
I'm always trying to push the envelope. Still.
Is there any role model you have in the game composing world that you look up to?
I mean, from the, especially when I first got the Super Nintendo, Yuzo Koshiro was his soundtrack for ActRaiser.
Oh.
That was really awesome, and I became a fan of his stuff. And well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of cool game music. Marty O'Donnell was Halo. I really enjoyed listening to that. And Jasper Kidd is the Assassin's Creed series. But yeah, original idols really Yuzo Koshiro.
Great, Japanese.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So how did you actually get the idea to make a Let's Play channel?
That came out of the piano collection, because I decided after all that time with the Tariq Soundtrack Anthology and how I did the updates there with recorded videos that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I turned to Twitch and did everything basically live during the campaign and also for updates in general. And so I had fun with that, and at some point we said, okay, why don't we play some of my old games while the piano campaign was running, and that's when we had the idea of let's make this a regular thing and expand the channel.
Yeah. So, well, right now, I guess we have covered almost all of it.
Good.
Or is there anything we have missed?
Maybe
no
let's
break up in the stream and
maybe let's wrap it up. I mean,
I know. Are there any questions in the chat?
yeah, let's ask for questions.
Now-
Are there?
now-
Of our two viewers that are left, the other ones failed. Yes.
One question. Is there any chance that you do the same that you did with the SIP music with the Amiga modules? That you dig out all stuff that hasn't been released and put it somewhere?
On the Amiga, I don't think there's that much. I could look again because I also have that data, but I think that was pretty much almost all released on the Sound Factory CD in the CD-ROM part. There were only a few things like Monkey Island, which I don't have the rights to, which was a port. The original composition is by Michael Land. I couldn't put that on there, but yeah, there's not a lot of unreleased stuff on the Amiga. But maybe I'll someday do a new music piece on the Amiga.
one question for your show, but I think the answer is no. Is there a show at Friday or Saturday this week?
Yes, even though I'm gonna travel to the Amiga show in Amsterdam on Saturday, my co-host Autumn is actually streaming and playing something, and maybe I'll Skype in during that. But he's keeping it alive. We're all for consistency. We even did the stream thanks to the real Hellcat who was in the channel there. He took over our stream last week, and we phoned in or Skyped in from Brighton, where they had the Back in Time Live concert.
Yeah. There was also the DeLorean outside there. Yeah.
I'm not sure if they had that. That was maybe something else.
I read something that was also at this Back in Time thing. DeLorean, but okay.
Maybe they had one there. I didn't see it, but in any case, we're trying to be consistent and have it every week, either Fridays or Saturdays. Usually Fridays.
Maybe the DeLorean traveled back in time.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's 9 o'clock in the evening German time. Yeah.
Great. So I think no other questions.
No questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Well, you can always catch me on Facebook or Twitter, or contact me through my website if you have questions. And tune in during the Twitch shows. You can ask questions there.
Great.
Wonderful interview. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you also for your patience, and also all the viewers. First time, I think we have to change different things for the next time, but we know where the issues were. You see original.
Now you're in the full and sun.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the right time to.
That is a proof. We are really in Germany. We have sun.
Yes, and well, I guess also thanks to the Film Museum in Frankfurt.
And the organizer.
And maybe, do you want to say something about this event again? You mentioned it in the beginning, but you see it like in the background here.
Yeah, I think everyone has now recognized it. Yeah, Film Games or Film and Games. It's an exhibition, and it shows the parts, the different views on how much influence got the movies on video games. And nowadays, how much influence get video games to movies? So there are different exhibitions there and parts. So you have sunglasses right now. Yeah, yes, really. You promise we are still in Germany. So you have. I think we have this. Maybe you remember the material from Jordan Mechner when he make the animations for Prince of Persia. So you can watch also the video where his brother runs, and so he put on the animations for the game. But also games that going to movies, good movies like Tomb Raider, not Super Mario or something like this.
They say the music is still running and it makes it difficult to understand us.
Okay.
So turn it down more.
This is a problem we can solve very, very fast.
Is it off?
Yeah, it's off. It's off right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I deleted that cam.
Right.
So it's a really cool exhibition. It starts at July 1st, runs till January next year. So you have enough time to win.
I have a question actually. Is there any game that has my music in there?
Oh, we have a cut and drop audio right now. No, I don't think so.
Maybe you can encourage them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was one more question here, which actually is a valid question.
Yeah, it's he asked how many originals Giana Sisters he has in. Oh, there's.
Oh yeah, it is in there. The Great Giana Sisters is featured. Yay! All right. Anyway, if I have still originals, I used to. And I think in the move from Germany to the US, they got lost.
The postal service stole it or something.
No, it was left behind in Germany, and maybe somebody swiped it there, or it went to the trash.
Yeah.
In any case, I don't have them anymore, and I'm heartbroken about it.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Oh my God, it's a
I
package.
still have it to be on top.
Oh, that's cool.
I have some other ones, but I don't have Giana Sisters, and I wish I had now 10 of them or something. But anyway, so yeah, thanks for the question, and I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I say that I will return with other guests, maybe talk about the next guest that is
Nope.
coming up for July?
No. Yes.
No. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. No, anyway, yeah. So, well, as Sven spoke about movies, and as we spoke about games and music, the next one will be about demo scene, about creativity on computers, especially on the 64 Amiga and PC and so on. So we will talk with Peter Smets, who is actually organizer of big demo scene parties like Reivison for the old school department of those parties. So he will be our next guest for the last Wednesday of July at 6 p.m. too. So we will come back to the music topic again in
All
4
right.
weeks. Yeah.
Then I tune in, and by that time you have probably no issues with the starting the tech.
It was training, my God. It was training.
Yeah.
And also,
Okay, well,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah.
thank you also, Chris.
And
Thanks to the Twitch
yeah.
viewers.
Yeah. And if you
And-
want to check out more, it's on sceneworld.org. We have more interviews. Another interview with Chris Huelsbeck and other people.
And me.
composers. Yeah. Him too. And a podcast too. So we covered all. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Tschüss.